Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about my top 10 loose setting powders. This is something that I didn't really want to film, and it wasn't on my list or my agenda, but I did get a bunch of comments about my favorite powders and why I use them. So today we're going to be exclusively talking about loose setting powders. So if that's something you're into, make sure to keep on watching and please don't forget to subscribe. I do upload 3 times a week, and that is the best way to stay up to date on all the fun stuff I'm posting. This isn't really fun, but it is informative and it is helpful. I'm going to give you the lowdown on my favorite powders, why I like them, what they're good for, and all of that. So make sure to keep on watching. So these are my favorites in no particular order, but I am going to give you the rundown on why I like them. I have recently purged a lot of stuff from my collection, and these are the powders that for one reason or another I couldn't let go of. So I'm going to start with Cody Airspun. It is like a $5 powder. This is an OG favorite of mine. The one downside is that it does have a very strong fragrance. However, I use the shade Translucent Extra Coverage. It does give you a little bit of like a beautiful mattified effect. It does have a little bit of flashback, so if you do pack this powder on, you are going to want to take something with pigment just to cancel it out when you dust it off. But that being said, it is very finely milled, it is super lightweight, and it just helps to cancel out everything and give you a smooth base for whatever you want to put on top. The next powder, which is one that I think I use pretty much every day, this is the Beauty Bakery Flower Powder. I use it in the shade Translucent. This is, if you could believe it, even more finely milled than the Cody Airspun powder, which for the longest time was one of the most finely milled powders in existence. It almost feels like cornstarch, that's how thin it is, and it just cancels and blurs out everything really nicely. Very lightweight. My one complaint is the packaging. So first off, you're not getting a huge amount of powder, but it is only like $24. But I find even when I keep the little mesh thing closed, I still get powder that leaks out. So it's not the end of the world, but a little bit of this, that's how much powder came up and it was closed. So this is actually really nice to touch up with. You can just take a little bit of that powder and a little goes a very long way. Helps to absorb, shine, and mattify, but I do not think that it's so drying that it wouldn't be good to lightly set down if you do have more dry skin. However, this is one that I would recommend more for normal combo to oily. The next two I'm going to talk about together because I have spoken about them on this channel since day one. They are the Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder and the Too Faced Ethereal Setting Powder. Both of these are well loved. Both of these are not my first of this powder. So both of them do basically the same thing. The only difference, the Too Faced is a little bit thinner in consistency, again more like that cornstarch, whereas the Laura Mercier is a little bit thicker. That being said, both of them are beautiful, both of them light flashback, but I find that they work very well in the same way. I will have to say that the Too Faced gets the win for me because it does have that sifter top that closes so that when you're traveling, it doesn't get a lot. Because the worst thing is when I'm traveling with this one and I go to open it, I end up full of powder in there. So just as a habit, I don't travel with it. I will typically take either the Too Faced powder or even the Beauty Bakery, just because I find that for what they are, it's a little bit easier. Or, not gonna lie, I have traveled with the Airspun, but because it's so affordable, when I open it, if there's a lot of powder in there, I will just dump it out. For $5, with the amount of powder you get in here, it just becomes that affordable, so it's not the end of the world if you do lose a little bit. So if you do have more dry skin or you want a little more of a luminous finish, this is the Patrick Starr Mac Patrick's Powder. First thing I will say is I don't like the packaging. I did a full review on this and I didn't love it. The powder puff I think is a little gimmicky. Like, I'm not going to be the one to ever want to like dust on with a powder puff. But when you do go into this powder and you do use it, you do just get this beautiful luminous finish. Everything is very dewy and glowy without being shiny, and it does mattify. I know that Patrick does have oily skin like I do, so it was designed for a little bit of a dewy glow, but to mattify at the same time. So if you do have more oily skin, this is gonna help to control your shine, keep you looking matte and flawless all day. If you do have more dry skin, if you go in with a very light hand, you can give yourself just that nice subtle sheen to the skin without it looking dehydrated, especially if your skin does suck up to that powder very quickly. This powder was limited edition, but if you did get your hands on it, enjoy it, love it. I do tend to only break this out on special occasions just because I do know once I use it up, it is gone forever. So this is something that I didn't destock because I haven't used it enough yet. This is the Lancome Long Time No Shine powder. It does have a little bit of a pink tint to it, which most powders tend to lean golden or lean white. Because this one is a little more pink, it does match my skin tone a little more. I've been using it on and off for the past few weeks, and I honestly need to give it a little bit more time because I don't think I love it yet, but I'm not sure, and I don't want to make a call too soon. So I did want to hold on to it just so that I can give it a fair chance, but I don't dislike it. I'm just not sure if it rivals my other powders. But that being said, for me to have held on to it when I got rid of like 15 powders, and I have dozens over the years that I've used and hated, clearly it's one of the better powders because it's not destocked yet, if you get what I'm saying. The next two powders are also very affordable. The first is the Fit Me Loose powder from Maybelline. I do also have this. This is shade 10. I do also have it in 15. Shade 10 is a little lighter and a little more golden, which helps for brightening on the under eye. Shade 15 is one I'll take if I want to just lightly set the whole face. They do have quite a bit of pigment to them, so they are more of like a loose powder foundation, if that makes sense. But by going in with that lighter one, it really just helps to spotlight brighten the under eye. I didn't use, what did I use today? I used the Airspun and the Beauty Bakery today, and you guys will see that on Saturday. This video is going up on Thursday. I did a full tutorial on this look right here, which is my go-to event Glam. Those are the powders I used to achieve this like really brightened under eye and flawless skin. So you guys will see that coming on Saturday. The next powder, this is the RCMA No Color powder. I did talk about this in a Forgotten Favorites video. This is, for the size, like one of the most affordable powders on the market. I have yet to find a makeup artist who doesn't keep this or hasn't at one point kept it in their kits. Very smooth, very micronized powder. It is just as soft as some of the softest ones here, if not softer. Every time I reach for this and I pull it out, I forget why I haven't used it in a while. And then I go to use it and I realize it's because I hate the packaging. Plain and simple, like this just doesn't work for me, this little spice jar. I feel like if I had this in any type of sifter, I would use it a lot more. But that being said, it is a beautiful powder, especially if you're starting a makeup kit, because you get 3 ounces of powder for $12. The Airspun is 2.3 ounces for like $5. So value-wise, you do get a little bit more out of the Airspun, but this one, amazing powder. So the last two, I wasn't gonna add on, but I feel like I need to. The first is from Besame Cosmetics. This is the Vanilla Brightening Translucent Powder. It does have a very golden, again, it has that sifter, which I do love. It has a very golden yellow powder color, which for my skin, which is very pink, isn't always the best. But I'm just gonna grab a little tapered brush. I keep this for this very reason. Whenever my under eyes are looking a little dull, like right now they look good, but if I wanted to take a little bit of this powder and just gently pat it on the under eye area, see how it just instantly awakens and brightens? It's very thin as well, it doesn't get overwhelming, but when you take a tiny bit of this powder and you just add it to that under eye, even if your skin is a little bit more on the cool tone side like mine, it just brightens and awakens everything. This isn't a powder that I take a whole lot of or that I use all that often, but on those days where I do my entire face and everything is set and done and I look and I just feel like there's a little bit of dullness, I'll just take a little bit of that golden powder just to amp everything back up. And the last powder, this is the Colorpop No Filter Setting Powder in the shade Translucent. I know they do have a few shades. This shade is kind of like my go-to shade for setting down my primer on my lids. So anytime I put down eyeshadow, this is more often than not, and I think it just has to do with the size, that I feel like when I start my makeup, I open my paint pot and this, they are very similar in size, and I'll just put down my base, set it down with the powder, and be done. I don't typically take this on the whole face. I don't know, I feel like it has a little bit of a minerally finish. So whereas some of the more lightweight powders will give you this like powder smooth, like I can run my hands all over my face right now and I don't feel texture, I don't feel anything but smooth. I feel like this leaves a little bit of like, I hate to call it sand, but almost like a sandy feel. Not the end of the world. It does work as a powder, but for me, I want to have just like a really smooth base, and I don't want to have to worry about any of that like grittiness on top of my skin. And that is the roundup of my current top 10 favorite setting powders. Let me know if you guys want to see me do a roundup of some of my favorite pressed powders. I don't have nearly as many as I do loose powders, just because I find it takes a lot for me to fall in love with, use, and keep a loose pressed powder. With a loose, I give it a little bit more time and a little bit more energy, and I definitely have a little bit more of a forgiving nature for a loose powder. So thanks again for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, do keep a lookout on Saturday for this look right here, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!